Thousands of responders from multiple states and from Mexico spent another day scouring riverbanks in search of victims. No new survivors have been found this week. In the meantime, families and friends are coping with enormous losses. Special correspondent Christopher Booker has a report on the devastation some are dealing with well outside of Kerr County.
For Delia Greenslit, both the reality and the horror of this week is still coming into focus as she sorts through the recovered belongings of her mother, 64-year-old Sherry Richardson.
What could I have done? What more should I have done to tell her I loved her that week, or have spent more time with her? Everything you can think of is where my mind has gone.
On Saturday, a day after the floodwaters ripped through central Texas, Greenslit began her day as she often did, by calling her mom.
I was just gonna talk to her about, oh my God, those poor families. Oh my God, those poor kids. And then I couldn't get a hold of her.
But you had no idea that there had been floods there?
No clue.
Greenslit assumed her mom was safe. She lived with her beloved Yorkie, Omi, about 45 minutes outside of Austin, Texas.
No, you can't have this.
And an hour and a half away from the worst flooding in Kerr County. But what she didn't know was that floodwaters had swept away her mom's home early that morning, not long after she frantically called 911.
It sounded like he could tell my mom was getting very afraid. He said that she was saying the water was starting to come up the stairs. And then he told us that the house had taken on 30 feet of water.
Richardson is one of more than 120 confirmed deaths. A woman that her daughter remembers as a creative force.
So this is a fairy tale blanket. She made blankets for just about everybody that she cared about in her life. She even made my daughter a wedding gift in advance because my daughter's 8 and she was 64 and she knew that she may not be there for her when that day comes.
It's the first time I'd been back here. It just brings it home in a different way.
This is what remains of Sherry Richardson's home. Dave Gould was her boss at Hope House, a nonprofit that provides round-the-clock support for adults and children with profound disabilities. Richardson lived on the property, working as an office manager for more than 3 years. Gould says she was like a mom to the entire team.
When Sherry came on, she needed a place to live, and she was such a find that we're like, okay, let's get you in here. This is something that we can help with rent and make sure that you're close. I had no idea, but at the end of the day, it's my responsibility to make it right, and I don't know how we're going to do that.
Gould also remains worried about the 13 nonverbal kids who live just 50 yards away on the property and were under the care of 2 overnight staff members who Gould was in touch with that night.
And as water started to rise, we kind of moved from one wet room to the driest room to the driest room. And our kids don't understand what's happening. But what they get is that we're scared. And then they're scared.
With bridges flooded out, several of the children were evacuated by helicopter.
Seeing those guys carrying my kids off of that helicopter, at the same time, just so heart-fulfilling that these heroes are taking care of us, and so terrifying that that's what it needed. And they were there.
That's dry. Thank God that's our CPR stuff.
Gould's wife Tina is the treatment director at Hope House. She says it's hard to know how the kids are doing today.
You don't know the trauma that they went through because they're not going to be able to tell you the trauma that they went through. Some of them got a helicopter ride. There's no telling how they processed that. Some of them probably were processing what the staff were feeling, like they're scared too.
This week, a small army of volunteers has helped clean up Hope House.
How difficult do you think it'll be to kind of get back to normalcy?
It'll take some time for us to process everything, like Sherry's death and how scared everybody was. But I think once the kids get back here, everything will fall into place.
Dave and Tina Gould believe they'll be able to reopen their doors soon and welcome children back to their home at Hope House.
But 80 miles southwest of here in Kerr County, an area that was hit particularly hard, is a different story entirely.
Probably Saturday would be a good day of the week.
These families are living minute by minute, and last night that minute came to one of our families that they had recovered 2 of their 4 missing family members.
Chaplain Tony Dickey and Amanda Nixon are part of the United Cajun Navy. You'll often find them at mass casualty events around the nation, meeting with grieving families.
I think a lot of people don't know how to sit in other people's pain. And if I can sit in somebody else's pain with them, then I can help them begin to navigate it.
We're there to hold them. We're there to cry with them. As a parent, talking to them, letting them know that you will never, ever get over the pain of losing this child. People talk about, well, we want to give them closure. There is no closure. You lose that loved one, you learn to live with the pain of that loss.
And Dickey and Nixon say that the trauma from these events will linger, not only for families, but for the first responders.
Put yourself in their shoes going down this riverbank in a debris pile. You pull a limb back. There's a child that you just discovered, and you're going to be recovering that child's remains there. And it's a community traumatic event that just rips at everybody's heart, knowing that there's this many fatalities here.
Back at Hope House, Dave Gould is only beginning to process all that's been lost. Was there any way to prepare for something like this?
I've honestly not had time to contemplate the would-haves at this point. I've divided things up. We have 2 projects going. We have get the kids safely back in the house, and then everything else. So we're focused on project 1 right now.
But Delia Greenslat says her mom should have been warned, especially 24 hours after the devastation in Kerr County.
I go through a range of emotions on a day-to-day basis. It goes from waking up crying to, because I know my mom's not here, to I have to be strong. It was devastating. It took my mom's life away, and it just could have been prevented. And there's no way that we didn't know that much rain was going to come in that area.
Delia Greenslat says she's speaking out because it's become her mission to make sure other families won't have to go through what she's just gone through. Amna?
Christopher, such a powerful report. I do want to follow up on something you mentioned. Sherry Richardson, the woman you profiled there, you said she died 24 hours after the flooding in Kerr County. Are we to understand that there were no other warning systems for people in other parts of the state?
It's safe to assume that Sherry Richardson had certainly heard about what had happened in nearby Kerr County. And when she went to bed, she wasn't worried about the small creek in front of her cabin. The cabin itself sits about 70 feet above where the creek is, and the creek is not connected to any major body of water. Dave Gould told us that the flooding was the result of just the continuous rain that came after the flooding in Kerr County. Sherry was one of 3 people who died in her county. And her daughter, is in the middle of the nuances and the complicated feelings that come with grief, she's angry. She said that if she knew that such flooding was possible, she would have picked up her mom on Friday and brought her to come stay with her in Austin.
Meanwhile, Christopher, you and the team have been on the ground in Texas all week. Just reflect for us, if you will, on what you've seen over that time and the people you've talked to.
Yeah, this has been a week of extreme contradiction, a week of darkness and light, immeasurable loss alongside scores of volunteers helping strangers try to work through that loss. We've watched as hundreds of people have walked up and down the debris fields, cooked meals, and helped people clean out their homes. This is the light. But the darkness is getting a lot more complicated as the questions continue to grow about just how this happened. Why wasn't there a siren system on the river? Why were cabins built and RVs parked in a floodplain? This weather didn't come out of nowhere. When hurricanes come, residents are given ample time to get out of the way. And why, 24 hours after this historical flooding, wasn't Sherry Richardson and the kids of Hope House told they need to move to higher ground? You know, it's clear that the local residents will continue to be able to help one another. You can see in the memorial behind me a small sliver of the outpouring of love. But just who in power will have the bravery to try to answer those complicated questions and find solutions is unclear.
That is special correspondent Christopher Booker reporting once again from Kerrville, Texas for us. Christopher, thank you to you and the team.
Thank you.